What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Zach and Pat Show. I'm Zach.
I'm Pat.
This is the show about manhood, fatherhood, entrepreneurship, and the mentality it takes to be successful at those things. And we'll probably sprinkle in some helpful real estate advice too, because that's what Pat and I do. You know, guys, life can be tough. We can go through some things and struggle at times, but this is the show to let you know that you're not alone. So if you're someone out there going through any of these things, this is the show for you.
All right, guys, let's talk about something we all need. High quality, comfortable, stylish clothing that actually holds up in real life. Whether you're grinding at work, hitting the gym, or just hanging out, the Normal brand has you covered. I've been rocking their gear, and let me tell you, it's not your average clothing line. They've nailed it perfect with the perfect blend of durability, comfort, style, whether it's a go-to rugged Henley, a hoodie, a button-down that doesn't make you feel like a stiff, the Normal brand is where it's at. The best part is you can support the show while upgrading your wardrobe. Just hit the link in the description below. Check out their collection. Trust me, once you try it, you'll wonder why you didn't do it sooner. The Normal brand. Made for real life, built to last. Now go check them out.
Shout out to our friends over at Captain Beard Co. Guys, if you are looking for beard care products, shampoo, conditioner, body wash, give Captain Beard Co. a try. They have this unbelievable beard butter, balm, oils, and then it smells amazing. Ladies, if you're looking for something for your men as a gift to help with their grooming, check them out. Also, if you guys are looking to just set the mood one night, candles, unbelievably smelling candles, made with all natural ingredients here locally to St. Louis. Give them a shot. Also, while you're there, use the promo code Zach and Pat for 10% off your purchase.
Hey there, guys. We really appreciate you checking out the Zach and Pat Show. If you can obviously tell, we are a newer podcast, but one way we're really trying to grow the show is trying to get up the amount of subscribers we have. So, if you're watching the show and you're getting something out of it, we'd really appreciate it if you could click that subscribe button. That would help us out a ton. Please click that button. And now back to the show.
We have a very special guest in studio today. He is a professional MMA fighter with a record of 6-1. The great and powerful, sweet baby Ray Hayes. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, sir.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, welcome,
Thanks
man.
for coming on, man.
Well, first, just to kind of start us off, you want to tell the people out there that don't know you a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm like you guys said, I'm a 6-1 professional fighter. I still have a day job. I work at 8 to 5 as a mechanic at a dealership in Marshfield. So I'm turning wrenches all day. I just recently got out of real estate. I was invested in real estate, so I'm kind of still lingering around and investing in stuff. Got a little brother that fights with me, and we train in the basement of a church.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Not a lot of MMA gyms out where you're at.
I'm kind of like in the middle. I'm in between Rolla and Springfield.
Yeah.
So it's either I drive to Springfield or I drive to Rolla. And I met Colton at Parabellum. They're like right in between the Wright and Waynesville.
Okay.
And then we split off from Parabellum and got our own place, and we just matted the basement out of a church. So
Okay.
Oh, that's cool. So is that the Smith Pit? Is that what?
yeah, we branched off from the Smith Pit because when he branched off from Parabellum, he was kind of looking for a name and like what we were gonna call ourselves. And Colton trained under Pat Smith his whole career, so he kind of just hit up Pat and he's like, "Hey, do you care if we just continue your lineage?" And Pat was more than welcome to, have us there because I've been training under Pat too. Colton introduced me to him, so kind of just carrying out the name, really.
Cool. So what originally got you into fighting?
I think it was just being like super unathletic, but still being competitive. Like I tried in high school to play football and baseball, and I could like catch on skill wise, but my athleticism wasn't there, and I didn't work that hard. I didn't have a great work ethic in high school, and it wasn't until like I graduated really and I started fighting, like training to fight. That's kind of when I like built a work ethic and really like got athletic.
So like right after high school, you just kind of got into it. Is
Yeah.
that when you met Colton? Or
Yeah, right after high school. Like I fought street fight a bunch in high school. I was kind of a jackass.
yeah,
So
Were
I
you
was
the guy
always
that was always fighting people after school and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, that was me. Yeah. So I was pretty much an asshole. But after that, I wanted to try to compete with it, because it was getting me in so much trouble. So I was like, I'll try to find an outlet with it, and walked into the boxing gym, met Colton, just continued from there. Yeah.
So did you start off boxing?
Yeah. I started during COVID. Like I started training like a year or two before COVID happened. And so right when COVID happened, I started boxing. So we did like smoker matches because USA wasn't sanctioning anything. So I had 3 of those that unsanctioned before I even began MMA. Did those were pretty easy. Like went to the gyms in St. Louis and knocked guys out, and then started doing MMA right after, right when COVID like lifted.
Okay. So were you training grappling and everything, but like to before, or are you just kind of only training boxing to start off?
Yeah, there for about, I'd say probably a good year, I didn't grapple at all. Colton tried getting me to grapple, and like he would like introduce me to the MMA class, and I would hang around a little too long and see him coming in, and I was like, I gotta go. I ain't sticking around for this.
Yeah, I'm gonna be hugging those guys.
Yeah.
Well, dude, your jiu-jitsu is fucking nasty. Like your front headlock is that. Dude, like I said before the show, I watched a bunch of your fights today, and I mean, the amount of darces and guillotine finishes you have are phenomenal. Like it's amazing, especially. I mean, I got to bring it up. I mean, the Trey Martin fight where you give the commentators an envelope and call out how you're going to submit him. I mean, the submission was beautiful, but like just that the way you transition from rear mount to the anaconda choke was fucking. I don't know if I've ever seen it before. Like it was really cool. Like I've never like the way you brought your arm through and then just like kind of sat to the side. Oh, it's fucking nasty.
Yeah. So I've never actually. That was my first time ever actually hitting it from the back mount.
Really? That wasn't something you ever drilled?
That was not something I trained.
Just fucking saw it.
It was just in the moment. So I do remember being in the corner because we were going to take him down, and that was the plan, submit him with the front headlock. But I knew that the skill difference between us, that I could get to the front headlock. However, he didn't have to shoot on me. I didn't have to snap him down. Like I could take this dude down and find it. That was the game plan. So I didn't expect to take his back. When I got in the mount, I didn't want him to turn over. And then I started kind of losing back mount, and I'm right in front of my black belt coach, So he's like, he remembered the note, and he was having a panic attack in the back. Like, come on, let's
get out of here.
Let's not lose trying to just hit one move. This is an MMA fight. We can't be doing that. You're 1-0 pro.
Right. We can tell him not to open the envelope.
Yeah. They don't have to do that. And my other coach, Colton, he was all about it. He was like, no, we're going to do this, So I had two different kind of corners. One guy was pushing it and like, we're going to do this. And the other one was like, let's not fuck this up. We're going to look stupid.
Let's just win. We're pro now. Like, let's take it a little bit serious.
But, and I remember like I slipped my hand under his neck for a second, and I was like, I could hit
finish
the rear naked right now. And like Colton was kind of yelling at me to like transition. And I was like, how am I going to get from back to, a front headlock? So in my head, I was going to just stand up and get off him. But, Dave Frizzell started walking me through, and I kind of fell off to the side. Like you see him kind of hip off.
Mm-hmm.
So I've fallen off to the side, and then Dave walking me through, like just to wrap the arm around and stuff. So yeah, it was really just listening to him.
Yeah. So like what made you want to predict, like give them the envelope and kind of do the whole Gordon Ryan thing, man?
So Trey actually fought Billy the Kid, and I started training with Billy real good. And Trey's just kind of one of those guys that like, he just shows up and he fights, and he does a little bit of talking. He's, likes to make the fight happen, So he was doing a little bit of talking and leading up to it. And I was just like, I know I'm way better than this dude. And I could either go out there and just put on a performance and really hurt him. Or to me, the worst way to go out would be super embarrassed.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like, if you come in and tell me you're going to beat me at something, I'll die before you beat me at that, like you're not going to,
you might beat me another way.
Unless the skill gap is that big, you're not going to do that, So I think, to me and Colton, that was the biggest thing to like, we're 1-0 pro. What do we got to lose? The skill gap's that big. Let's go make a statement and really get people looking at me super early. And I think that's what that did,
Dude. Yeah. And I feel like that kind of made a name for you.
Yeah.
And after that, you've headlined quite a few a few cards, right?
Yeah. Ever since then, I've main evented. I've never.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's sick. Dude, that was a fucking good move.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, right after that, I fought Brian Sekiel for Nemesis. I co-main evented to Dakota Bush.
Yeah, okay.
But you ain't main eventing over Bush, so
yeah.
But ever since then, after that, I've been main event every time. Yeah,
dude, that's fucking awesome. I mean, because you haven't, So when did you actually start grappling? Like 2020, 21?
Yeah. So
you haven't been in the world of grappling. Like you haven't been doing it that long.
I've only had one jiu-jitsu tournament.
So, that was gonna be my next question.
So what belt are you?
Yeah, purple belt.
Okay. Cool. So do you ever train in the gi?
I have a handful of times just because.
I mean, you're an MMA fighter. It doesn't make a ton of sense. I'm always curious if MMA fighters train in the gi.
Some people complain about it. I really do think it does translate a lot for MMA grappling. Obviously, I haven't done it a whole bunch, but I also think I'm a purple belt in MMA jiu-jitsu. If you put me in the jiu-jitsu tournaments, I'm hanging with purple belts. But I really to me, if I was gonna compete jiu-jitsu, I would I would really wish I was still a blue belt,
Sure,
those matches
yeah.
would be a lot easier. So I definitely like, I'm not in no rush to be belted or anything
Yeah.
like that. But MMA jiu-jitsu, yeah. Like you said, my front headlock game, I've submitted some high level belts with just that move. Get submitted by him with a whole bunch of other shit. You can't
Yeah.
hit nothing else. But my front headlock game and my MMA jiu-jitsu, I'm pretty solid that I can roll with anyone as long as I can punch you too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, 'cause it's like, I mean, I'm just strictly a jiu-jitsu guy. I've done a lot of competitions and stuff, but like, there's plenty of times where I'm in a position where like, oh, if this dude wanted to crack me right now, I mean, in a fight, this doesn't make sense, but like jiu-jitsu, it works,
Yeah, guys want to be choked a lot more when they're being punched in the face.
for sure. And you can
choke me or punch me.
Yeah,
let's get
well,
out of here.
and it can, strikes can obviously open up a ton of submissions,
Absolutely.
which is like, that's a huge part of MMA and finding the submission.
And I think that's like you complimenting my jiu-jitsu. I don't see it as like the best part of my game, but I really think it shines because of my ability to do that, to make them happen. And Colton trained me to be a finisher this whole time. I'm not delay and pray or to hold position or win points. If I'm gonna punch you until you give me a submission, and I'm gonna reach and search for those. I'm not just gonna take the grappling way, lay on you and kind of hold position.
Yeah, I mean, all your fights have been extremely exciting. I mean, I think there's only one that's gone to decision, if I'm not mistaken. All your pros fights, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I haven't.
They're all finishes.
All finishes as a pro. I went to decision twice as an amateur and then once in kickboxing.
Okay. How many kickboxing fights?
Just one.
Just one.
Yeah. That's probably the worst fight I've been in, bro. Like,
Really?
My only concussion. That was I was just talking to Jamie because I fought one of his guys out of the church, Calvin Williams. That was a crazy fight.
Really? What happened?
That was just it was just like pace for 3-4. It's kind of weird. You think like MMA fights they're 3 minutes as an Amy. Yeah, but then you get 2 minutes as a kickboxing. So like going into that, I was like 2 minutes.
Yeah, but it's like a fucking sprint.
But yeah, it is a sprint, and especially if you fight a dude from the church, you're not, like I told Jamie, you got to learn how to breathe underwater. Those guys will not let you breathe. He won't back off. So that was the biggest thing. Like Calvin was in my face that entire time. Didn't get a second to breathe. So yeah, that fight was crazy. Even like looking back at it, I'm like, that sucked. But yeah.
So your story has many layers: fighter, mechanic, real estate investor, orphaned at a young age. What part of your identity do you think people misunderstand the most?
I think a lot of it, probably the fighter aspect, because people build conclusions in their head about MMA fighters, like you got to be the biggest, the toughest dude in the room. And I'm not that, I'm the quietest,
Well,
least likely to open up. So
and I think people that are in the fighting world would understand that, but it's just people that are outside the fighting world that don't really
like
get that.
At my day job, like, I told them right at the bat that I fought so I could get like time off to, go train and go fight. So there wasn't no like miscommunication there. But even my coworkers, like when they found out, they were like,
"You?
This dude fights,"
Yeah.
And they go on YouTube me and be like, Oh,
okay.
He does fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
I think,
quiet, slender, tall guy. Like he seems like a nice guy.
yeah. You met me in high school. You think I was a dickhead? For sure.
Damn.
For sure.
Damn. Well, so you're you train with your brother as well. What's that dynamic like? Are you guys like is there like a rivalry there? Or is it just like straight up support?
Yeah. I think it's chilled out because like before we even knew how to fight, like wrestling with your brother, that shit
thing.
That would get intense, we would go at it. Now like we'll be home or like at family events and we'll like start playing around and it's like we'll either like not do it because we both know that at any second someone could do it, or we'll like there'll be times where we're wrestling and we'll throw every bit of knowledge about MMA away. And it'll be like just back to the old days.
Back to the old days in the living room. Move the couches. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, it'll be just like that. And we'll look stupid, but yeah, training with your family's great, man. Like having Austin there. Anytime I need to train, someone to hold pads, talk to you about anything, and then like even like with fights, in corners. Luckily I haven't been to the second round or to the stool much, but just having him there, like backstage. Austin's cornered me probably 8 or 9 times, and each time he's been in my corner was a first round finish. So like just
good luck charm.
Yeah, just the connection and the mindset that I have, walking out backstage with Austin, having him there the whole night. I don't I can't get that with nobody else. So.
Sure. And you're the older brother, right? How much older?
2 years.
Oh, so yeah, you guys are. I mean, growing up, you're now probably same size. You guys are training partners.
Yeah, he's actually a little bigger than me. Yeah.
So you typically fight at 45, but
Mhm.
you fought a few times at 55, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is what weight class is he?
He should be fighting at 55. He's fighting at 70 on this next fight at the lake. So I mean, he's right around. He's walking around like 85 or something. So he's big. Yeah,
big boy.
Yeah.
What do you walk around
me.
at?
Like 70. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So how's that cut to 45 for you? Is that?
It's getting harder. Getting harder as it goes.
Do you think you'll eventually transition to 55?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I said, I'm 23, so just in this last like year, I can see how my body's changed. So by the time I'm 25, 26, I know 55 is probably gonna be.
Yeah,
this
'cause you're
realistic
still
option.
growing, dude.
Yeah.
You're young, man. Like, I'm in my early 30s, and I feel like I'm finally okay. I'm like not growing anymore,
Yeah.
And anyway, now you fight pretty fucking often.
Mhm.
Like, how many times have you fought in the last year?
What I fought 6 times last year. Yeah,
Oh,
so
wow.
all my first like in a calendar year, I didn't fight in the year, but it was October of 23 was my professional debut, and then by the time of October 24, I had the 6 lined up. So
Damn.
When's the next one?
May 2nd. So
Okay.
in 4 weeks.
And where's that one at?
Kansas City.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So
Yeah.
you obviously, so you come up here pretty regularly to train, no?
Yeah, I think I'm one of the few guys that goes around about every room in Missouri. I don't travel up to KC much and train in those rooms just because I feel like every other fight I'm fighting a Kansas
KC
City guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I make the trip up to St. Louis. I'll go to Wolves Den, St. Charles. All these gyms are super open to me. I come in all the time and train with all these guys. So
Yeah, I mean, everybody's looking for a new body, a new look, and that's awesome that you bring that to the table. And it's always, I just love that you wouldn't think that in like the MMA community that it would be so like, as an outsider, you wouldn't think it would be so welcoming to like bring other people in, but it really is.
Yeah.
Which is just awesome.
yeah,
But so you lost both your parents at a young age, and then grinded through MMA. Is that like fuel you, or what's that dynamic like?
yeah. Everyone always asks my why, and it's them. Like I said, I'll never get the chance to sit down and talk to them and know that I've made them proud. So my life, whether that be in real estate, fighting, fighting is what I put most of my time to, but it's to make them proud. So at the end of the day, I'll never know if it's done. I get home from training, don't know if it's done. I win the FAC title, don't know if it's done. So until my time's up, I'm gonna keep trying until it's up, and I can hear that. That's all I'm doing. But and I think that sets me apart because a lot of dudes, they do it for money, they do it for their family, their daughter, their whoever they do, but they still got them. So like at the end of the day, when you go home and you're laying with them and they say, "Oh, I'm proud of you," or that takes a little bit of stress off. You're doing the right things.
Yeah.
I get home, I don't know if I did it right, if I'm doing it good, So it's just constant burning. I'm never gonna get burnt out on it or tired because to me it's not done until I'm done.
Sure.
I gotta not be here for it to be done. So.
And how old were you when that happened?
I was 15.
Oh, damn.
So you're
Yeah.
15.
Yeah,
He
so
was
really young.
Austin was 13.
Yeah.
And how did it happen? If you
Car crash.
Yeah.
Or winter of 16. Yeah, December 16th.
Man.
it's awful.
Yeah.
So from there, did you guys live with another family member or?
So we lived on the same property as my grandma. We just lived in a different house.
Okay.
So whenever it happened, we just moved in with her and lived with her and finished school out and stuff. But and then like when I turned 18, I moved back into my parents' house because insurance paid for it and stuff. So I've been still on the same property, now I'm taking care of grandma. It's reversed, She took care of me all these years, so I'm taking care of her.
Cool. So cool.
Yeah.
So you've got a mechanic's hands, but a fighter's soul. How much of the blue collar work ethic bleeds into your fighting?
I'd say a lot, just because that's all I've been doing. Ever since I got out of high school, I've been a mechanic, and then I went into construction a little bit here and there, and back to turning wrenches. So I really think just that mindset. Like there's a lot of people say you don't know hard work until you go do construction or this blue collar work. And that's a true thing. I don't think I've just as hard as I've worked in the gym. I don't think I've worked any near as hard doing roofing. You know, that's way harder to me than training. I would much rather spend a day blowing my arms out on the bench press than being on top of a roof. So the guys that can do both, those are different dudes. You know, I don't know if you've, you know, especially jujitsu, you get to grapple with all kinds of people. If you go grapple with a dude that just spent, you know, 8 hours on a roof, that dude grab a hold of you a little different than the nurse. You know?
100%.
Sure.
I was training with my buddy this morning. He's a mechanic, and he's got the, I mean, like trying to break his grip off of my grip. Like he's one of those guys that once he grabs your gi, and we were training gi this morning, it's like, I mean, good. It's there until he doesn't want it to be there. Like his hands are like glue. Like there's no breaking his grip.
Yeah, I've training with like, you get the guys that like lift weights and that are big and bulky, and then you get the guys that just work hard, and the guys that do both. You get guys that go to the gym that lift and they have a those are a handful to deal with.
Yeah. Well, nothing like those. You know, it's so funny because you're so right. The like bulky bodybuilder like strength doesn't necessarily translate to grappling, and it's like you'd think it would. Like, and I think it helps a little. Like it's better than not having it, but I think that like farmer strength, that like man strength or whatever you want to call it, like that some people just like have, like whether it was, you know, like God given or it was from years of, you know, work, like that is a different kind of strength, and you feel it. Like some guys just feel like they're fucking made of metal.
Yeah.
You know,
sure. Yeah.
And it's just, it's crazy, man. But yeah.
I mean, I guess that redefines the level of toughness, you know. It's like, so how has that evolved over time for you? Like, what your thoughts on how, like, what toughness is?
I don't think I've struggled with being tough. I think it goes back again to, you know, losing my parents at 15. I had to get tough. I had to grow up fast. But I feel like I've always been kind of a tough guy. But I mean, I think mentally tough is really just the way to go. You know, all of our bodies can probably handle around the same stuff. You know, we're going to break around the same point, but it's whenever your head or mind breaks, that's the big part. So, and that's where I break more guys. You know, I'll break a lot of guys that are physically better than me, just mentally, you know. So I feel like being mentally strong is the key to it all. And I feel like I've excelled in that just because of the way life's dealt with me. You know, I haven't really had to work for it. It was kind of pushed on me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, does it have to go back to like everything that you've been through that's kind of helped you evolve and understand your mental toughness?
Yeah, I think so. I think so for sure. You know, and just wanting it. You know, some guys don't want it to the level that some people do, and if you don't want it that bad, it'll come out. It'll come out eventually when the water gets poured on. You know, you'll look for places to stop swimming.
Sure. Yeah, man. Well, let's talk about the Smith Pit. You were talking before the show. That's kind of a gym that you and your coach kind of built, essentially, right? Like, what's the dynamic like there? Is there a lot of other training partners? Are you kind of like the main guy, or how's it go?
Yeah. So even like when Dakota and Jake Collier were training with Pat, you know, we kind of Colton stemming off of that. He really kept the same kind of format and outline. You know, it's not a class, it's not a big gym, they trained in a room maybe a little bit bigger than this, you know, so it's nothing fancy, not a lot of people, it's just a fight team with fighters in it going hard, you know, learning from one guy. So as far as like, we don't go in there and pay, you know, big gym memberships. We don't have all the equipment. We got little gloves, a couple bags in the corner, and, you know, concrete walls. So
bodies,
Rocky style.
Yeah. So
that's cool. So you're ranked in a few regions right now. What's your view on like the ranking system? I know you fight at a bunch of different promotions and stuff. Like, what's you know, I guess kind of how does that line up in like the future? Like, do you think like what's obviously I would imagine the goal is eventually to get to the UFC.
Yeah. I think right now I'm in a great position. Like, I don't pay too much attention to Tapology and stuff, just because like I think I'm like top 5, and the dudes above me are just have a lot of fights. You know, their records aren't the best, but they just got more fights than me, and they're older. So like realistically, it's a 23-year-old. It's got all finishes better than the, you know, almost 30-year-old with 50 fights.
Yeah,
you don't know. I don't pay too much attention to Tapology, but especially with like the Contender Series. I don't know if you guys watch that or pay attention to it.
Of course.
But the way it's set up, like I'm 6-1, all finishes 23.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, man, you're bound to
nobody
probably get that call.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
The FAC title, no one that's won it at featherweight has not gone to the UFC. Everyone that's won it's went to the UFC. So I already won it. I'll be the only guy to defend it. You know, come May, fighting a dude that's never been finished. So I think I finish him, knock that off. You know, that's a record in its own, finishing guy that's never been finished. Adding a title defense that's never been done. Right before the summer starts, 23, 6-1. I don't know what more I got to do, you know?
Right.
But again, I'm 23. I'm not pushing it. What's 2 more years waiting on the outside, you know? What am I?
It's 2 more years of you getting better.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, think of how much, you know, you've really only been doing this for 5 years, four and some change, you know?
I've only been pro since 23. So
yeah. So it's like, dude, you know, you're still so young. You've got so much ahead of you. And like, you know, even if you didn't get the call for 2 years, you know, think of how much better you'd get in 2 years, you know,
absolutely.
and then how many more fights, how many more experiences, like,
yeah, something you definitely don't want to rush.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I'm not. Everyone always asks me when or why or how. What's the perfect? I don't care, man. I know it's gonna happen. Like I said, I'm so young. Like 2 more years, what am I gonna be?
Yeah.
Maybe I lose a couple more times, but I'm gonna win 7 or 8 more times. So hindsight, I'm 10-3. Oh,
yeah, it's still a great
Right.
run.
Yeah,
You know, this isn't boxing.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so I mean, it's pretty rare that you go undefeated in MMA. Like
Exactly.
I mean, it happens, but it's rare. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, that's the thing we say on the show all the time. Like, if you try, like, the thief of joy is comparison. So, like, if you're going to sit here and try and compare yourself to someone else that might have gotten bumped up already or sooner, it's just like, that's just going to destroy you and piss you off even more. Let that shit go and fucking
for sure.
do your own thing.
Yeah, I see a lot of guys on the Contender Series that like you kind of question after you watch him fight. You're like, I really should, if he should be getting shots over. You know, I know a lot of guys that are good that he shouldn't be getting shots over, but I think there's a lot that plays into it. You know, like how many followers you got, how big of a name you are, what gym you come out of, who's your manager. You know, like I said, I train out of a church basement. My coach manages me.
Yeah,
I got 1,000 followers on Instagram. So,
yeah.
so you know, I'm not tripping about none of that.
Is that stuff too, as fighters, that you guys talk about? Like, how do we build up a bigger support system or following to kind of get that aspect?
Yeah, some people are more into it than others, you know. Like I've just now like started kind of producing content. You know, I used to never post on anything. So this last like year turning pro, I've really been trying to crank out more and focus into that. But I know guys that whoop my fucking ass all the time and they don't post for a year, you know,
right.
And they're way better than me. So I think to each their own, you know, it's kind of whatever way you want to do it. I know today's age, we know which way is easier to get there, you know. You got to be marketable, you got to be in everyone's face all the time. So it's kind of whatever you want to do. You want the easier road or load less traveled? Yeah.
Now, are there some guys that like that are in the UFC and things like that, like that you like are big fans of? I mean, like we love watching Sugar Shane. Like that's our guy that we love to watch.
Yeah.
Do you get anybody like that in the UFC that you're like a fan of, or like you try and model yourself after?
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved like Charles Oliveira, you know, this especially the last little run he's been on. He's incredible, you know.
Definitely got a similar style to him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, watching that fight where you gave the envelope and all that, I was like, man, this kind of reminds me of like Oliveira. Honestly, I was like, this is the Oliveira Mike Chandler fight at this level, because that's kind of what it was.
Yeah.
And like with the way he was built versus the way you're built, like I'm like, man, this is a lot. Your level of Chandler versus Oliveira.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool
for sure. Yeah, I do a lot, like now that I'm getting closer and closer to like being there, I do a lot more watching guys that are in my weight class, built like me, and more learning than I am like setting back, you know, enjoying, you know. And it's kind of crazy because I've been a fight fan the whole time, so I've always like I'll watch every fight. You know, I'm a big bettor, so I'm betting on all the fights too.
Yeah, I've noticed that from your social media. You like to gamble. For sure.
For sure. But now it's got like, even when I'm not in a fight camp or something, I'll be sitting down watching. Like I'll watch the past fights, just learning versus enjoying it. You know, I'll catch myself like writing stuff down about it and bringing it back to the gym and using it. So.
Yeah, so you watch a lot of tape, just kind of study. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it makes sense. I would do the same thing.
Yeah,
an easy way to get better. That's not, you know, beating your body up.
Yeah, it's a
mental reps.
Especially like being a mechanic. I'm like one of the youngest guys in the shop. You know, you got all the experience, you know, master techs in the corner. If I want to learn to do something or get to know to do something, I go over there and I watch them or I ask them. I'd be stupid not to watch UFC or ask way better people than me.
100%. You're as good as the people you surround yourself with.
Absolutely.
For sure, yeah.
You know? So,
Well, as someone that's climbing both the financial and professional ranks, what does freedom mean to you now versus when you started fighting?
Right. To me now, it's just like if I could just train and just fight, because there's guys out there that I'm gonna be competing with. Like I just fought David Evans. David's got acting. He's got a business. He's, like the week before we fought, he traveled to New York and trained in New York and stuff. And I was like, this dude doesn't have. He's literally just got to train for me. That's all he's got to worry about, And I'm over here getting off at 5 o'clock, driving 40 minutes, getting in, training 2 hours, trying to barely make it. So I really think the moment I can get to that, where all I got to do is wake up, hit this training session, go eat, sleep, hit this training session. When that happens, that'll be freedom to me, just because I'm not going to be able to compete like this with guys like that forever.
Yeah.
Come to an end one day where those guys are working twice as hard and I'm not able to keep up. So getting there, that'd be freedom to me, getting to that point.
That's something that a lot of people probably at home don't realize, that like a lot of MMA fighters, they've got jobs, and because it's, especially when you start out at the low level, the early pros, like they're not making a ton of money, like it's not enough to live on, so
that was also it was a big driving factor, because I watch like I said, I watch all my opponents' fights. I'll be watching your social media, your stories, and I'll watch everything. And like I said, I was watching David go to New York, train here, train there, go over there, and do all and he was hitting 2 training sessions a day. And in my head, I'm like, this dude's doing everything with all these high level athletes, and I'm in the basement of a church. So,
But hey,
so it was a big driving factor to just work harder, show up more, again, travel, go to Springfield, go to St. Louis, do everything I could to make sure that I was putting in just as much work, if not more, than he was doing.
Yeah. So what's a typical day look like for you in terms of like waking up in the morning till you go to bed at night? Like,
I work at 8, so get to work at 8 to 5. And right from 5, I work in Marshfield and I train in Buckhorn. That's like a 45, 50-minute drive. Right when I get off at 5, run over to the church, get in there. We train for an hour and a half most of the time. And then I'm just headed back home, eat, go to sleep. And then Fridays I'll go up to Springfield. Marshfield to Springfield, it's like 25, 30-minute drive.
Yeah.
I head straight from work and I'll go up there, we'll hard spar. And Saturday, Sunday, it kind of depends, on my body, really. Saturday, I normally use the rest day, and then Sunday, I'll hit open mat at one of these places.
Yeah. So, how many times are you just training? Are you typically sparring 1 day a week? You're in camp, or more than that?
It kind of just depends. We spar at the church basement. We're going live like every day almost, Okay. Right? I'm obviously not killing each other. It's very moderated, very, the good thing about like, we only have like probably 6-7 guys that train out of there. So the good thing about that is whenever one guy has a main event spot 4 weeks, everyone's focused on me. So versus when I go to Fight Club, I'm fighting everyone and we're all getting ready for fights,
Sure.
Those guys aren't getting ready for fights. They're all fighting southpaw. They're all, giving me the certain looks, doing what Jose does, and, getting ready to beat 6 Jose's up that day versus I got to adapt, I think that's the big thing. The best thing about training there is you go in there, you're in Ray Hayes' fight camp. You're in Austin Hayes' fight camp. You're in Colton Justice's fight camp.
Just whoever's up next.
Yeah, whoever's up next. If there's more than one, then we'll kind of alternate and we'll all take turns. But that's the big thing, and I think that's the reason that you see a lot of guys venture out to big gyms like Dakota. It's helped Dakota a lot. He's an animal over there at ATT, but he's one of many animals.
Right.
And some people that helps, some people it doesn't. I don't know if it helped me or not, because this is going so well, as me being
the guy.
Yeah. So
it's like, I've heard it described by someone else that, you can do a lot of getting better or working hard. And we do a lot of, they do at those big camps, they do a lot more working hard, because it's just, it's less focus on like getting better, and you're just surrounded by killers all the time. So you're just,
Yeah.
you know, trying to rise to the level of your competition. And I mean, it's two different ways to do it, but, yeah, I mean, if it's working for you, then, you know, what, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know?
That's, and me and Colton's had to talk about like expanding. I went to JW for a couple of weeks and trained down there in Albuquerque. But that's basically the conclusion we came to, you know, as long as this thing works, as long as I haven't struggled in very many fights, you know.
Right.
So
I mean,
I'm not even struggling, let alone losing. So until something starts happening, we find big holes that we can't fill. We're riding this, you know, it's working.
Yeah.
Makes
Hell yeah,
complete
man.
sense. So you've worn a lot of hats. So champion, underdog, brother, breadwinner. Which role challenges you the most personally?
I think the biggest challenge was like right after my parents died, the relationship with my brother. That right there, like the 1-2 years after, it suffered the most, just because as an older brother, you want to, you know, when they were here, I was just his brother. That was cool. I kind of mentored him a little bit, whatever, but he ain't got a father. I had 2 more years of having a father. So it was like, teach this kid, you know, not let him fuck up. He's going to do right, blah, blah, blah. And that kind of pushes apart just because I'm not his dad, you know, to him, I'm just my brother. So I think me being trying to be his dad really interrupted that. But we worked through it, you know, we made it happen. I think I helped him.
Yeah.
You know?
He's doing all right.
So yeah, we figured it out. But, and now, you know, we train together. We go all over the place together all the time. We're always, he was going to come today. His little lazy ass slept in. You know,
You guys still live together in the house?
He lives with we live on the same property. He lives with my grandma. I still live alone.
At the house? Okay.
Yeah, at the house. But my roommate's actually moving out and he's been talking about moving in. So if we live together, that'll be even more time.
Even more time together. Even more brotherly time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So I mean, I'm sure that dynamic, you know, when your parents passed away, that, you know, you being his father, you know, kind of trying to be his father.
Yeah.
I can imagine how that could, you know, push him the wrong way, or you know, push him, you know, in the wrong direction, or you know, create a dynamic between you two, I should say.
It took me a while to realize it, you know. Like for a few years I was really pushing it, really trying, you know, just because I didn't know how to react, so I really didn't think he knew how to react, you know.
Well, yeah, it's a very difficult thing to deal with.
Yeah, finding MMA definitely helped me, you know, take a step back and, you know, built our relationship for sure. I kind of drug him into it too. You know?
Oh, really? So you were like,
the
dude, you gotta
fatherly
just come
part. I was
fucking
like,
train with me, man.
he was just as bad as me, if not worse, on the street fighting and stuff.
Oh, really?
So I was like, we gotta. I'm going. You gotta go. We're going. We're going.
What's the craziest street fight you've been in that you remember?
Oh, the craziest, probably this. We got in a road rage fight. I've only ever been in 2 that actually like got all the way to pulled over and fighting.
Just two road rage fights?
Okay. Yeah, actually, just 2 that actually like normally they just drive off and it never really, you know, actually happens. One guy was just an older guy. He got out of his car. I punched him once and we just went on our way. But the second one with Austin, we were coming back from one of my family members' funeral. It was like a cousin or something. So we're all dressed nice and dress boots. And we see this car driving like an asshole, dude, just messing with this truck. And we roll up next to this car, and I'm looking out the window, and we're a couple exits before Marshfield. I live in Lebanon, so we're headed back there, and I'm looking through the window, and it turns out it's a guy from my high school that I grew up with that I know. And I'm looking through the window, and then Austin's texting him. He's like, "What's going on?" Blah blah blah, and he's like, "This truck, it's just been on my ass for miles. They're driving like idiots." Blah blah blah. I was like, "Oh, okay, that's weird," you know. And the truck kind of like sped off a little bit, so we ignored it. And we make it, you know, a couple more miles, feels like 5-10 minutes. And the truck's like right behind me. I don't know how this happened, but it's right on my ass.
So you're driving?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, what's going on, you know? And he comes and tries to pass me. And I'm like, I'm playing the asshole game. If you want to drive like an asshole, I'm an asshole
speed
today.
up. Yeah.
Yeah. I just came from a funeral. I'm an asshole too. So I kind of like get in front of him. And then he ends up like passing me on the shoulder. And he's flipping me off, yelling, you know, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And he gets right up beside, like he slows down and gets beside my passenger window. And my brother's in the back seat.
On the shoulder?
Yeah, my brother's in the back seat, so you can't really, you can't tell that I got my brother with me. I roll down my passenger window and he's yelling and he's pointing at the Marshfield sign. He's like, let's pull over. And I was like, okay, say less, you know? And at this point, I'm like a year and a half into training. And I'm
Okay.
like, I'm super confident.
Sure.
You know,
Mhm. Of
stupid
course.
and confident,
Yeah.
but good at fighting.
20 years old. Yeah.
No, not really. So we pull over, and immediately, like, I put it in park. I get my shirt off. I'm already out the car. I'm like, as soon as dude steps out, I'm smoking this dude. And truck pulls up, passenger door opens. I grab the door. I go to hit him. The back door opens. The front door opens. And I'm like, oh.
Fuck.
Yeah. So I take
Austin, get out
I
here.
take 6 steps back, and Austin's taking his boots off. He's taking his shirt off. I'm like, Austin, you know, and
Hurry the fuck up.
yeah. So it's 2v3 now, and we're squared off in this shopping center parking lot, you know, and I'm like, this ain't good.
No.
You know, I kind of taking a few steps back, get away from everybody, and I hear like tires screeching behind me. So I'm turning around, like, what the fuck's going on? You know, I'm about to be hit. My buddy in his van has been watching this whole thing this entire time. I didn't know this. He's got 4 dudes in this van. They come barreling out of this van. So it went from a 3-on-2, me and Austin probably about to get our asses whooped, to a 6-on-3. Yeah, from there on,
So it actually happened?
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. I look over, somebody's got some dude's arm behind his back. Austin's punching him. One of them, my buddies, threw dude over his head. He slammed him. I was the only dude in a one-on-one fight that entire time. The other guys were just getting
Just a fucking
just
brawl.
beat up. Yeah. So I'm over here like fighting a dude one-on-one, and then he pushes me up against this lady's car, and I break her mirror off, and I'm like, oh shit, you know. And I look around, and there's people now like crowded up
crowd.
watching us. I'm like, broke this girl's mirror off, and I'm like, oh god. And I look over, and like they're on the ground just getting stomped out. So I go, Austin, and I just yell like across the parking lot to get some help. And he like looks at me all scared, pushes me, and takes off running. And I was like, oh, thank God. I was tired of it. And it was the biggest dude out of all of them. He's like 200 pounds, like 150 Ray, you know, trying to fight him. But they ended up like going back to their car, and I seen they had like a deer rifle in the truck and stuff. And I was like, oh shit, well, this is about to get really bad. They get in the truck and they like spin a U-turn, and my buddy is standing right in front of the passenger door of this car, and it's opened. And he literally tries hitting him. My buddy jumps over the hood of the car, smashes the door closed, and takes off running.
Fuck.
So I'm like, we're standing there watching this, and we're like, what is this? You know, what do we do now? And everyone's watching and calling the cops. So then we're just like, I guess we're
Let's
gonna
get the
wait.
fuck outta here.
No, we
Oh,
waited
no.
around for the cops, you know, because we gotta like secure this door open or something.
Oh,
'cause
yeah.
his car's ruined, you know. So we just sat around, wait for the cops, and the cops take all of our statements and stuff, and they like go back they try to get him video surveillance to watch it all. Nothing ever came out of it. I never got in any trouble. I don't know if he got insurance money or what, but that was the craziest thing, just because the ending, you know, he turned around and tried to hit him with it.
Dove over the hood of the car like Dukes of Hazzard.
Like we just
style.
about watched a murder over a street
over
fight.
over a fucking stupid road rage
Yeah,
thing where
it was
this guy was trying
so
to
dumb.
Yeah.
So dumb. Crazy.
Well, thank
Was
God
that-
your buddy pulled up.
Yeah. Was that the end of the
I was afterwards. I was like, I'm sorry about your car, but thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you a lot.
Was that the end of the road rage for you?
Yeah, that's the last one. Yeah, that's the last one I got out the car. Now I don't even be getting out the car.
Yeah.
I just keep driving. Buckle
Yeah.
up.
Well, I mean, now as a professional fighter, can't you get into some trouble for that too if you get into a fight outside of the ring?
See, I've heard that, but I really don't think it's like, it's kind of like play dumb games, you get dumb rewards. You
Yeah.
know? Like,
Fuck around and find out.
I feel like, you know, I've heard to the extent of like, it depends how far I take it. Like fighting you and I knock you out and then stomp on your head.
Yeah.
You're a professional fighter. Why are you knocking them out and stomping on their head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
it's like, well, and it's like, especially as I think that's where jujitsu could really come into handy, you know, because it's like, dude, how many people, you know, you've rolled with people that are untrained. Like, how
Yeah.
easily can you just kind of throw them around, throw them in a quick submission?
Yeah.
You know, like,
I feel like it'd be easier to get in trouble because the more you know, the more they expect from you. Like if you know how to handle a situation and obviously handle it, and then you take it that extra step.
yeah,
You
it's
don't
like if
have-
I put
you
this
didn't
dude in a
have to do that.
Kimura and snap his arm behind his back,
Why'd
I
you-
don't need to do that. I can
Yeah.
just be like, all right,
Exactly.
I'm gonna let you out of here. We're both gonna go our separate ways, and
Exactly.
then we both get in our cars and go.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, you just never know what people know, you know, that especially in, you know, now it's like how many people, you know, I could think of so many people that I know that you look at them and you would never assume, you would never like, oh, think that this guy can fight. But then
Yeah.
like you grabs a hold of you, you're like, holy fuck, this like scrawny nerdy dude is fucking a savage.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's 25 now, dude. Like
Yeah.
the scrawny nerdy dude's also got a gun.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. And
And it's got a drum mag.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because our buddy Nick's what, a purple belt?
Nick Baldwin?
No, Kern.
Oh, yeah. Nick's purple belt.
Yeah. So Nick and I, our buddy, would play hockey together. And it was funny when I was like, man, I'm glad he's on my team. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, this dude's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. Like,
Yeah. Nick's a coach. He's very fucking good.
and I was like, yeah, man, like this guy, like,
But you look at him and
you
you
look,
would not.
you're like, I was like, he's dangerous. Like, I'm glad he's on our team. Like,
he's like the
this-
smiliest,
and-
like friendly
yeah,
guy.
but
you
like
know,
he'll also he'll stir some shit up on the ice, and like the guys are just like, man, what is he doing? Picking up like messing with the biggest guy on the ice. I'm like, nah, Nick would be fine. Like, I'm worried about that big guy. And they're all like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, dude's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. Like, he's gonna be fine. And he coaches it, so like he's really good.
He's,
And they're like, Nick? No. I'm like, dude's a badass.
wait till he grabs a hold of you.
Yeah.
Might be a little harder to do on the ice though. I've never grappled on the ice. So
I can't even roller skate, so I'm not even gonna try, bro.
that was funny. I was actually speaking. I was. Do you know Corey Beck?
Yeah.
He just posted something the other day that it was like I think it's like one of those kind of gimmick things that they're doing where they're like, it's like supposed to be like a hockey fight, like where you literally like where it's like literally you go there to hockey fight. And
no
like,
shit.
Yeah. And
That's
he's
cool.
like, well,
Crazy.
you know, Corey grew up playing hockey his whole life and he's a pro MMA fighter. So he's like, oh, it's right up my alley. You know?
Yeah.
So he's like, I think he posted the other day. He's like, should I do it? You know, and like with like a poll thing on Instagram. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to see it.
That'd be sick. Yeah.
Dude.
Can I sign up for that class?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and speaking of Corey, so we had Corey on not too long ago, and what's he called? His name's the scientist.
Yeah.
So he takes a very comprehensive, like scientific approach to things. Do you do something similar in terms of like nutrition and training and things like that? Like, do you look at the science of things, or do you just kind of go off of feel and how things are going that way?
I've lacked a lot, like nutrition side, you know, especially as an amateur. I would drink soda, eat fast food, and show up and fight. That's why I was fighting at 55 a lot. But so I've kind of dialed in a little bit more on nutrition. Still not perfect. The higher I go, the better I'm going to get at that. But I'm a big film watcher, big on that. You know, me and Colton are big on game planning. You know, I walk out there with a purpose every time. You know, I know side you put your head on when you shoot. What's your favorite punch to start with? You know, sometimes your favorite color, your girlfriend's name.
Yeah.
I know a lot of shit about you by the time we get in there. But
Do you talk a lot of shit when you're fighting?
no, not really.
No?
not too much. Not too
Okay.
much. Yeah, I haven't dug into that
Shit
yet.
talking yet?
Well, I know there
Yeah.
was some animosity between you. I can't remember which fight it was. It was the one for NFA.
Yeah, Brian.
Yeah. What happened there?
He was kind of
That's
just
because right after you submitted him, you did the whole.
yeah, like it'll come out. It's there. I grew up watching WWE.
Yeah.
It'll come out. But I try to keep it contained for the most part. I try not to be an asshole no more. That guy, he was just. I think it was really just a conflict of characters. You know, I'm super quiet, super chill. He's loud. You know, he just brings a show, and he wasn't. The whole time he wasn't necessarily like super disrespectful until like right before and right after. Like he was like more of downplaying grappling. Like if we stood and fought, blah, blah, this would happen.
MMA,
If
motherfucker.
I found you in the street and I had you in a head and arm and there's no ref to pull me off,
Go to sleep.
you're dead if I
Yeah.
want you to.
Right.
Like, at the end of the day,
You're
dead.
lucky if you just go to sleep.
Yeah.
You know?
There was like a 6 or 7 minute interaction with him backstage. I was trying to get to my interview and he stops in the hallway and he's just sitting there like, you know, talking, chirping, yelling, trying to, you know, get to me. I don't even know what all was said anymore, but he was arguing me for a minute. And I was like, someone like get him. Brad came and like separated us, but I was like, someone get him because I'm about to be banned from Missouri for fighting this dude again. Yeah, it was crazy.
Damn. What's the most insane moment in like a fight you've had? You think like has there ever been like a holy shit moment or like what would you say? Is there like a moment that stands out to you?
Probably the TKO of my last amateur fight of Aaron
Tapology right here.
Aaron Lake. That was probably
Yeah, Aaron, like
yeah. Aaron Lake was probably the
20 seconds.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Just because backstage, like we had a game plan. We were gonna start at the legs, go to the body, and finally open his head because he's so tall and he was super susceptible to leg kicks. And backstage, me and Austin we were lined up in the hallway. They were calling out Aaron Lake, and we were bullshitting. We're always joking around backstage. You would literally never think I was about to go fight somebody by the way we act back there. We're so like chilled out. But he said, I said something about knocking him out with a left hook, and Austin goes, "Shut up, dude. You ain't got no power in your left hand. You'll never do that." 15 seconds in, I throw a left hook, and I see his head go this way, and his legs go the other way, and that's the one where I stopped, and I hit a salute mid-fight. And like that, to me, like, it was like time froze. I was like, what? I just did that, So that was like you don't get too many of those moments where you're able to like be there in the cage, It a lot of it just kind of flies by and you kind of just do. So I think being there and seeing that happen, especially right after Austin was talking all that shit.
Yeah.
That was a cool moment.
That's sick, dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look. I watched a lot of your fights. I don't think I saw that one. So I'm gonna have to look that one up after this. Man, that's crazy. So what's your take on like the current state of MMA is, with the people that, like try to be super flashy or that try to create animosity between people. Do you think that that's something that like, I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but is that, do you think that's good for MMA? Do you think it's not? What's your take on that? You think?
Yeah, I don't think there's a bad thing for MMA. It's so new and early that I don't think you can really do anything to it bad, especially people being people. That's what you want. You want real. So even if the Colby Covingtons that are putting on a persona, that's
the way to do it. Yeah.
It's their way to do it. If that's what they want to do, they can do it that way. See the downfall he's having now.
Yeah. It doesn't look so good. It doesn't look so bad. It doesn't look so good when you're losing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm cool with it all, whatever anybody wants to do, it's everyone's going to watch something. Going to watch him get beat up or watch him win, whichever one you're watching for.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I like it all.
Yeah, I think there's something to, creating some drama just because it gets more people interested. I'm way more
that viewership up.
I'm way more like interested in watching a fight where the two guys are talking shit to each other than I am the guys that are like, I just respect my opponent and I think we're both going to go out there and perform our best.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, I mean, I'm gonna watch the fight, but I'm way more excited to see the dudes who hate each other, or appear to hate each other.
For sure.
I was
or even the one guy that's talking the most shit and the guy that's just sitting there being quiet and see like, oh, I know this motherfucker's got something brewing. I can just you can see it. So
yeah, I was talking to Jamie and he's got a fighter that's fighting somebody that he doesn't like this time, and he was like he's super excited because he's never fought someone that he doesn't like, and like that made me think like back on all my fights of who I fought and who I like the couple times that I fought, like, the Jordan Kaufman, the Brian Steele, the guys that were like doing a little bit of online talking, kind of disrespectful. I haven't had like a super crazy guy yet. The little bit of like, okay, I'm cool with actually hurting this. Because a lot of times I'm like, it's just a fight, blah, 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 sportsmanship and respectful and stuff. I still love violence. I still want to hurt people, but whenever you're doing a little bit of disrespect and you're talking a little shit, I'm a like hurting you. Enjoy that a little bit. So not only does it excite the fighter, but people watching it too.
Yeah.
Do you think that was that knack for violence? Is that something that you just kind of that was born into, or is that something that just grew over time?
I've just been like bred into it, growing around it. Like I said, I grew up watching WWE. My dad was a real, American dad. He was always, we were roughhousing. Violence was just in my household. Spike TV, WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I had a brother, it was nothing. That was masculinity, wrestling. Who was a better wrestler? You could hold me down. You could hurt me. That's where the respect came from. A real old style kind of way to look at it, but that's the way I came up. So I think that really just helped me. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, we talk a lot about masculinity on this show. I mean, that's part of the manhood aspect of this. I mean, do you still feel that violence aspect is a good part, or is a form of masculinity, or a good representation of masculinity?
I think it's the most primal. You look back even the early ages. If to me, you're not going to get any more respect out of me than if you could hold me down and kill me. If there's nothing I can do to stop you from doing that, you got my respect. I'm gonna be good. You know? I'm not gonna do anything dumb
good
around.
boy.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything stupid around you.
Yeah.
So I think the primal side of it, yeah, there's definitely a primal urge of if I'm gonna go fight this dude and I can write it down, do whatever I want to you, and you can't stop it. Okay, you know who's the man? Who wouldn't? You know, if it was old times and we only had so much food,
Yeah.
I'm eating,
I'm
you're
eating.
not
Yeah.
eating.
Yeah.
You know, if we're in prison, I get the right bunk.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing my laundry.
Yeah. Damn, man. Well,
there's an aspect to it. We're in a modern society, so
Yeah.
that doesn't work in society, but that's why you fight.
So would you say that now having that aspect, but being able to control it is more masculine than actually being able to do it?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
That's where I'm at with it.
That superhero thing with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
well, it
that's
seems
real.
like you've grown a lot from, when you were younger, like you used to be way more crazy and willing to, just fucking fight a guy in the street than you are right now,
Yeah.
and it's,
Sure.
I mean, it's part of growing up and part of, just growing as a man.
yeah.
And, it's cool to see like that you're aware of that in yourself,
Yeah. Ray, like now it's only like fight time or like close. Like whenever you make that kind of like that switch into that mindset, because you gotta go to a different place to be able to fight people in underwear.
Yeah.
But like 4 weeks out, Ray, if I walked outside, someone wanted to fight me. No, I'm getting in my car. I'm going home. I got a long ways to go. 2 weeks out, Ray, someone outside want to fight me. He's probably getting fought.
Yeah.
That's probably what's gonna happen.
That rage is building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you switch that mindset,
Yeah.
like DC said, he pushed a kid down
Yeah.
when he made that switch. So you're different when you're fighting. It's a different, especially the closer you get. The closer I get, it's like being hungry. You can almost eat.
Yeah.
Do you find it tough to switch it on and off, or like
No,
or
you'll.
at least come out of it once
Yeah.
you're in it? Do you find it tougher to come out of it than it is to switch it on?
I don't think it depends on the fight.
Yeah.
Sometimes like there's been like I went back and watched Austin Spengler fight the other day, and you can see me finish him, get up, I walk around the cage, my coach walks in, he tries to dab me up, I walk right past him, I got this like pissed off look in my face, make a whole circle back in our waiting on him to get up, waiting on the ref and everyone to come in, and then my brother comes in and he talks to me, I still got the same fucking look. And like 2 seconds go by and I'm laughing and I'm smiling. And like to me, like I can remember the mindset. I can remember what I was thinking back like in that time. And you can see it right there. I switch, I'm not chill. I realize it's over. I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't want to fight no more. And then there's been times where I'll get all the way downstairs or we'll get all the way out to the club afterwards. And I'm still like, aren't you happy you won? Feel pissed off and like, on edge, ready to just fucking kill something. 15-second fight. So glad I'm one. Didn't get to
Really
live
get it
I didn't
out.
get to show what I was
Yeah,
working
I
on,
didn't
or I
get
didn't get
that.
to, yeah.
So it just depends on the experience. Sometimes you can pull yourself in and out of it real fast. I don't have a single problem going into it. I think just being a piece of shit when I was little, being an asshole. So I don't have any problem getting into it. That's an easy mindset for me to get into. Coming out of it, definitely a little different
tougher.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, financial freedom, fighting, real estate, like what's kind of your like end game? Do you think you're going to kind of invest more into real estate in the future, or like what do you kind of see yourself doing after fighting?
Yeah. I think real estate's probably going to be my main goal and avenue, just because I feel like it's the one that works the best for you versus you having to work.
Yeah.
So
You're going to find two big proponents of real estate right
Yeah.
here.
That could be
yeah.
that could be the aspect that gives you that freedom to train the way you want to train, especially
Yeah.
if you can develop that portfolio of rental properties that are giving you that income, that passive income. I guess you can't really call it passive because that's one of those things.
You've owned real estate. It's,
yeah,
it's
it's
far
not-
from passive.
Yeah,
It's like that's one thing I always know whenever someone comes to me. It's like, yeah, I really want to get into real estate for the passive income, and I'm like, okay. I've got a handful of rental properties. I'm full-time real estate agent. Like it's far from passive.
Yeah.
It's like there are ways to invest in real estate where it is passive, where you're in. That's more of kind of just being the bank.
Yeah, the bank wins.
The bank. That's the people who really win in a real estate transaction. Be the guy that has enough money to loan it out for people, and then you're essentially just sitting back waiting for your return. But yeah, what do you kind of what do you see yourself doing after fighting? Going to get into real estate or
Yeah, I don't plan on waiting until after.
start?
I just sold a fourplex last year that I bought. I only owned it for like a year, but it was kind of the same situation. I had a goal in my head of what it was going to look like, and it was a little harder than what I wanted, and especially like just now turning pro and stuff, it was a bit much for me, with a day job, being a professional fighter.
Yeah.
No,
Also a landlord of 4 people.
Were you flipping it, or would you turn it buy it as a rental and hold?
Yeah, I bought it as a rental. Yeah. So I sold that just because it was like everything was going wrong with it. It was just getting out of hand. But I've fully I didn't really even take a crazy loss on it. I kind of made what I had in it really. So I'm basically back to
learning
where I was.
experience.
Right.
I'm sure you learned a lot from it.
Yeah,
So it didn't
for
completely
sure.
come. It wasn't, even if you lost a little bit, you gained some knowledge. And okay, well, next time when I'm looking at properties, I'm going to see, okay, I remember this from last time. I'm gonna, I'm gonna address that, or I'm gonna, ooh, this is a red flag. I'm gonna stay away from that, or So you definitely are gonna learn something from that for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't think I lost a lot on it. I've got money still from it, saved up. So it's definitely right when I get, the credit bounce back obviously is a thing, that I got to work on. So getting my credit back in the right spot, getting my professional fighting life into a spot where I'm ready to make that jump again. Yeah, that's really it. Waiting till professionally I'm ready on this side of it, where this kind of takes a little lax. Maybe I'm not cranking out 5 or 6 in a year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, that's fucking crazy.
If I fight a few times in a year, then I'm definitely. I told Colton like maybe the end of this year, early next year. I'm gonna try to buy, and not a fourplex. I'm gonna try to go a little smaller for the first one.
Yeah, sure.
If you need help on the credit side of things, let me know. We can talk off camera on that. That's kind of my area of expertise on the finance side of things.
Yeah, I was super good. Like when I first turned 18, I went and bought a Ford Raptor because I had an 800 credit score. I just walked to the dealership and like, whatever you want, take the Raptor. So I went and did that. Had that. I owned that for a couple of years. That was super cool. And same thing, I sold that, and then I built my credit score. I had like a 750, 780 for me for 350,000 for a house. I was like, I'm gonna get my grandma into a house and out of the trailer. She kind of talked me out of it. She's like, well, why do you want to make that kind of payment fighting and doing this when you do something else? Someone else make the payment.
Yeah.
It's still difficult. Still not as easy as they make it seem, but
sure.
I figured it out. So we'll be trying again soon.
Yeah.
Sure,
And you're at that age too, like house hacking. Have you thought about house hacking? Where you can buy a multifamily house, like a 4-family, live in one of the units and rent the other 3 out. That way you're getting in with minimum down, getting a better interest rate, all that stuff, and then living there for a year and then buying another one and building it up that way, but with using minimal.
Yeah, because you can put like 3.5% down.
Yeah.
Instead of, I'm sure when you bought the rental property, you probably put 20 or 25% down. I would imagine. So, you can get into it for a lot less, and then, you only have to live there for a year before you can do it again.
Yeah.
And it's a great strategy that a lot of people do to build up a portfolio really quickly.
Yep.
And just buy one a year.
You got to be there for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's,
or a very strong worded letter of explanation on why you're not living there for a year.
we can help you with that.
For sure. Yeah.
Now, do you have you're so young, so you might not, but like, do you have an age or a time where you're like, okay, I'm going to be done with fighting when I'm this age or anything like that? Have you ever thought that far into the future?
I hate like looking and watching these 40-year-old dudes still fighting, just because that's all they got. I hate seeing that because I feel like if you have the career that you wanted, that shouldn't be. It shouldn't be like Yoel Romero should not still be fighting.
Yes. Tony Ferguson.
He shouldn't have to. You guys shouldn't have to do that. And I don't know if it's because they have to or because they want to. Maybe they just still love it.
Well, it's like, because some guys, it's kind of their identity. It's like, what else? What do I do now?
Yeah, and I talked to a lot of guys like Billy the Kid and Marshall and stuff, and they talk about it being identity or not. Billy's really pulled away from it being his identity. He's a barber. He does all this stuff. He's got a lot of super connected in the Springfield area, and that was a big thing with me getting into real estate and stuff. Was when I first started. This is what. As a 19-year-old kid, I'm like, I'm a fighter. That's what it is, Now that I'm, 23, I'm like, I'm Ray, I'm a mechanic and I'm really good at fighting. And when I'm done being really good at fighting, I want to be not working. I don't want to get out of fighting and then go into working. So that's been something for sure.
Cool. Awesome, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause you definitely want to have that. You want to have everyone like you want to have a backup plan, but you don't want to have a backup plan at the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
time because it can get in the way of what you're trying to do currently.
Mhm.
But it's never a bad idea to at least have something.
And I feel like the story of like he came from nothing, he put all of his eggs in this basket, and then he made it. It's almost played out. You've seen it with Connor. You've seen it with so many dudes, and it works. It's a great
great story.
so well, yeah. But I think it's played out, and by the time the dudes get to the highest high, like I said, they get what they wanted out of it, and they're done.
Yeah.
Never the same once they get to that level. So I feel like if I have that before then, I've got I have financial ability to not fight, and you're standing across the dude from the cage that wants to be there, not because he has to be. He doesn't need this check. He's not Kevin Holland that needs to fight 5 times a year so he can support his hunting.
Yeah.
No, I've got 6 figures in the bank, and I want to be right here across from you to kill you. This is what I want to do. No place I'd rather be on this Saturday. That's the scary dude. I feel like guys that really want to be there, and to me, that's going to be a successful career, not a forever career. I don't, like I said, I won't be fighting 40. So hopefully before 40, I'm done with it, and hopefully
You're financially set.
Yeah, and hopefully before then, I've got the financial side figured out to where I'm not fighting because I need fighting because I like hurting people. And, I want to make my parents proud of, competing at a super high level globally.
Staying on that line of real estate and fighting, what do you find is harder to stay more consistent with, investing in real estate or fighting?
Investing in real estate.
That makes me feel okay.
I can fight every Saturday if it's at 55.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I fought 10 times as an amateur in a year. So
dude,
that's easy to be consistent. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Well, I guess when you're finishing guys in 20 seconds.
Yeah. I'll fight.
3 fights don't even make a round.
Yeah. The second and the 10th. I don't care.
I mean, I have to go back and look, but like as a pro record, have you ever made it past the second round?
Pro, no. I've not made it in the second as a pro. Like I said, I only went to the decision twice as an amateur and to the second once. So, but it was 11 fights, and I think I had like 8 fights of like actual time or something.
Damn, that's crazy. Have you, you've been doing this for a while now. Have you come across any injuries that have like hindered you at all? I know you got a fight coming up, so if you don't want to speak on that, I understand.
Yeah. I popped my rib out once 2 weeks before I fought Trey Martin, actually.
Oh, really?
Dude, that I wrote the note down. Yeah, I popped my rib out. So that was like a pretty bad one that lingered for a long time.
Those rib injuries take forever.
Yeah.
And it's like such an annoying thing because it's like any way you move, you breathe, you laugh, like sneeze. Oh,
it was
fuck.
bad. That was, and then I partially tore my LCL right before I fought Mason Pillow. That was a little one that still like flares up and lingers a little bit. And then I messed my hand up, that middle knuckle. A cartilage deal. When I fought Buchanan at one of the fights that went to decision.
Yeah.
The cut man, Papa Bear, he asks my hands almost every time I'm there because that's the dude I walk up to. I feel like he's one of the best. But for whatever reason, that fight, he did like a super thin layer. I was like, in my head, I'm like, oh, that's fine. More meat on these, meat padding. That was the fight that went 3 rounds, and we ended up punching each other like 100 times. So I'll get out my hands all swelled up. It's been causing me problems ever since. But
how long ago was that?
That was like my 5th amateur fight.
Oh fuck, dude!
So I've been fighting the whole time with it, so it's not keeping
used
me
to
from
it
that.
at this point. Yeah, used to it.
Yeah, June of 22. That's what it shows on here. Damn. So it hasn't really messed up things too bad for you.
Yeah, no, there'll be like days where I gotta take off, or if I hit someone, like I can't. There's no way I'm gonna get in a street fight with it. If I hit something hard without padding, oh yeah, it'll mess me up. But as long as I wrap it or I got gloves on, I'm normally pretty good.
Yeah, dude, the bare knuckle shit. That's become like a pretty popular over the last few years.
Yeah.
Is that something you could see yourself overdoing?
Colton won't let me. I've tried talking him into it just because I feel like it's like the UFC is super new.
Yeah,
that's even newer.
That's very new.
Like,
yeah,
and I watched some of the fights. Like some of the guys' ability to actually box is not there. They're just super tough and will take one to give 2. So I feel like if somebody like a good boxer that didn't care about being hit got into that, he could really take over that because everyone. Like everyone's watching clips of that, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Even people that don't watch combat, they just watch someone getting like that dude that got knocked out in 3 seconds, the fastest knockout
Yes.
ever.
Oh,
That
it's
Cole
fucking
Farrell
nuts.
guy. He's like 10-2 in MMA, gets knocked out in 5 seconds and
Jeez.
Dude.
in bare knuckles. So.
And you realize like how much, I mean, just the how like people get cut with the bare knuckles. Like, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I think that's the reason Colton saved me from it, because like that, you take 2 bad fights in that, you fuck up your hand or your face, and
Yeah, and then you got the scar tissue
you ain't
that
got an
opens
MMA
up.
career after that, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, you're like Nate Diaz, where just
Yeah.
the second he gets hit, his eyebrows open up, and
Yeah,
it's like,
I think that's why guys wait till the end of their career. You see a lot of guys after the career go into it. I think if you go into it away, that's your career. Like if I was to go and do that, not just like I could probably go do a one hitter, you know, and just go in and out.
Yeah.
But if I was gonna go fight consecutively in that, then I would have to give up MMA, and that would be. I don't feel like you can transition back and forth, especially like those guys have. I don't know how many times they fight a year, but there's no way you get in a bare knuckle fight and your hands hold up. They go fight 2 months later.
Yeah,
There's
no.
no way.
yeah, they're
There's
fighting
no
2
way.
two times a year if they're lucky.
Yeah, I feel like
bet.
you break your hands every time. Every
Yeah.
time you got to break something. Punching foreheads.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Doesn't sound fun. No.
It don't, like, sometimes when I think about it, I'm like, hell no, absolutely not. And then I'll set on it some more and I'll see like a card coming up or something, or they looking for like this weight class, and I'll text Colton. I'll be like, hey,
look,
hey,
they need a 45.
Look at this. Let's run down here and do this show quick. And he'd be like, no.
now you got the slap. What's the slapping one? Oh,
slap
God,
fighting?
Yeah,
Oh, dude.
man.
I would never do that.
No.
Good on that.
Yeah, I'm good on
Jesus,
that.
like
I'm good
you're
on
just
that.
standing there waiting to get fucking smacked in the face. Like
No,
there's
Yeah.
a guy from Oakville that I went to high school with that's on it.
Really?
Yeah, TJ Matthew or TJ Thomas. Yeah, but actually, yeah, Pat Maroon's. He was ex brother-in-law, I guess was. I don't know if they were married, but yeah. So, the mother of Pat's oldest son's brother.
Wow.
Yeah, he's
Dude,
from Oakville.
yeah, I'm not. Yeah, that's a whole different level of crazy. I think.
Yeah,
You know, just
Yeah.
like being sitting there waiting for this
Just
dude to slap me.
literally just with
Yeah.
all their force.
Yeah, and you're just sitting there fucking waiting for
It's just
it.
like CTE.
so you can give them one.
Yeah.
Dude, I feel like
CTE
it's-
waiting to happen.
I've not watched. I mean, I watched the clips more than I've never actually sat down and watched like a whole. I guess they call it a card.
Yeah.
I don't know. But like I don't. I guess. Just I feel like the advantage of going first is fucking
Yeah.
huge.
Like,
you
oh,
know,
for sure.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, man, if I just fucking chalk my hands
Oh,
up real good and
yeah.
fucking crack this dude and he drops, I win.
Well,
You know,
can you bet? I wonder if you can bet on that.
yeah,
Probably.
I bet the odd switch
Oh,
after
yeah.
after
yeah.
one slap is
Uh-huh.
just crazy.
100%. Yeah, you
I'll-
get wide-
I'll live bet them fuck out of that.
But yeah, can
My
you
minus
imagine?
800 turned into a plus 1600.
Real quick, I'll take it, dude. Yeah, because you're just sitting there fucking waiting for it.
Yeah.
Oh god, they.
Oh,
Whew.
yeah.
No
Nuts.
thanks.
Yeah, boxing is something Colton's actually entertained, and we've almost set up. I would transfer and box too, just because that's what I started, and I feel like prepping for an MMA fight and then going off and taking a quick boxing match, especially at my level. Like
I feel like it'd be. I mean, I don't know. Would it be? I mean, it would be a pretty easy. It would seem. I would imagine an easier camp. You know, or like probably
Yeah.
easier on your body for sure.
yeah, easier on my body for sure, and an easy one to like do, and then also just get back to
Yeah, and get right back to what you're doing.
Kind of like doing like a jujitsu tournament in
Yeah.
the middle of it. It's not like crazy, going to take a lot of life at this stage. If
Yeah.
I was boxing really good guys, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I won't be doing that. But if I can get in there and fight a guy with a couple fights,
Yeah,
I
well,
would
because
do
you'd
that
have
for
to
sure.
start as a pro because you don't have any pro boxing fights,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you'd have to go right into pro since you're a pro.
I'm sure they would weigh in like my professional MMA
MMA.
on the like they would let me fight like, more experienced guys. They wouldn't
Sure.
just give me the
just
no
give you
guy.
a
But,
no-name guy.
Yeah, for sure. I'm super open to it. Colton's actually played with that idea.
Yeah,
versus
A great way
shutting
to
me
develop
down.
your striking too.
Yeah,
It's just-
you you see yourself like maybe after fighting getting into more like jujitsu, or would you do like jujitsu tournaments?
Yeah. Especially because like a lot of the fundamentals of jujitsu we've kind of neglected, coming up because I never just went to the straight jujitsu class until I started really MMA, started going to them. But as far as like playing with the legs, passing guard, all the technical stuff without punching that you learn from it, I've picked up on some stuff here and there, but having it down to where I know what to do and I could teach it, I don't have a lot of that. So I definitely want to grow it, learn it, and compete there just just to know, you know.
Yeah.
Well, there's something
If
too.
it
that
comes
you
down to it, and I can't punch you no more in a fight, I break my hand again or something. you
Yeah.
know, and I gotta hold you down. I gotta win this way, you know. Like,
Right.
Yeah, I want to be able to do it for sure.
well, then it's something too after you're done with fighting that you could do for a long time. I mean, you see
Yeah.
those guys in those
Yeah.
tournaments that are
Oh yeah,
look,
50, 60 years
Yeah.
old, dude. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
guys I train with at my gym. I mean, literally, the guy I was training with this morning, he's a purple belt at our gym. You know, I think he's like 47. I mean, and, you know,
Well-
you look at this guy and you never think that he's fucking killer.
Yeah.
well,
But
fuck,
fucking-
Anthony
He
Bourdain.
armbarred me today.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
Anthony Bourdain, what was he? He was,
Yeah,
he was
he's a blue
almost
belt. Yeah,
yeah,
he's
but
like
he was
60.
60s.
yeah, dude,
Yeah.
it's cool that people. It's just something you can do for a long time, and
Right.
you know, if you do it smartly, you can do it for a long time.
Right.
But it's just
Yeah.
all about how you train and who you train with. Yeah, man.
Well, back to talking about fighting here. You know, where do you see the biggest gaps between fighters who make it to the top and those that don't?
I think it's the fights they take, you know, because you see a lot of guys get all the way to like almost where I'm at, you know, either where I'm at or a little bit past me, but they've taken the easier route, the better fights, you know, the guys that really shouldn't have been fighting. And you get to the next stage, like probably where I'm at, you know, you go try to fight on LFA, they're not going to match you up good. Not going to do what, you know, hometown promotion would.
Mhm.
You know? So they either make the jump to like a regional scene like LFA or something like that and think they're going to get a few fights and go to the UFC, or they get signed, they get to the UFC and get a favorable fight there. I think that's the big thing is the competition dudes be fighting. You know, that was a thing me and Colton talked about, like him matching the last couple of guys. You know, it was no longer, like I said, Trey, skill gap way too big. I can write down, do what I want to you. After that, it's like, okay, every fight we got to take a step up in competition. His record's got to be better. He's got to be better at, you know, everything as a whole. So I feel like I've done real good at that. Like you can look at every fighter that I've had. Like, guy's more dangerous than that dude. That dude's more
Progressively,
dangerous. Yeah, every guy's more dangerous. Every guy's got more accolades. Every guy's a higher level. So I'm slowly building myself up to be able to compete at the highest level. I've been able to compete at the level that I'm at right now 3 fights ago. But you got to test yourself accordingly. Step up.
Now, when it comes to getting these fights scheduled, I mean, is it the promoters of the leagues that you're fighting in, or is it like you reaching out to them? Like this next fight you have coming up, did you guys reach out to him, or did he reach out to you, or was it just the promoters of the organization that's running the fight that set it up?
FAC actually hit me and Colton up. I let Colton handle it all. They all go through Colton now. If they message me, I'll just give them his number. Because I'll say yes, you know. I'll fight whoever. Colton shut that shit down. But yeah, fighters fight. It's definitely good to have somebody looking out for you. But yeah, FAC, they hit us up like 2-3 weeks before I fought David and was like, hey, after you get done with David, do you want to come defend FAC title? Yeah.
And that fight against David, that was the one where you won the belt.
That was the last fight at Synergy. Duran.
Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing.
About 3 before, I think. I fought Duran. I won the FSC title.
Yep.
Came back and I lost to Alex, and then I beat David. And right between David and Alex, they booked
Jose
at FAC first. Yeah.
Do you find one of those promotions better than the other?
They all have their own perks to me. I don't
Yeah.
think any of them are better than the other. I think FAC is the biggest recognized one. Like they've sent the most dudes to the UFC. They've got the biggest promotion, the biggest cage, you know, the more eyes on it. But if I know when I go to Synergy, the connection I have with Chris and Zach, the way they treat me, I'm at hometown, you know, I'm fighting right there in Springfield, you know, that's all those pluses that I get. If I fight up here in Nemesis, they give you a buffet for, you know, weigh-ins. Marlene and Brad, nicest people ever.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we need to get Brad on.
Let
them both on.
Yeah, and then you go to Knuckled Up. He's got not the best promotion side. Like I don't have any videos of any of the fights that I've had for him.
Yeah.
But Ricky Davison.
I couldn't find the Ira one. I was like, I saw flying knee. I was like, man, I want to see that one.
Yeah, I've been asking for it. I'm like, one of your cameras guys got to have it. You know, the live like cut off when I try to rewatch it. So I've been trying to get it, but like I said, he's taking care. Even when I go down there and train, he like forces me gas money. He's one of the best dudes in the game for sure. Way better than a lot of these promoters, you know, that I talk to. So everyone's got their plus side, you know. And to me, I said it. I forget who I said it to. I said it to someone else, but these guys take care of you better than like LFA and Cage Warriors, because a lot of guys, they don't mess around with local shows. They go and they fight for Fury, they fight for LFA, and they just jump right into that. Those guys don't care if you make it to the UFC or not. You know, people are going to make it to the UFC. Fighters are going to go. Fighters are going to win. They're going to send people. LFA's good at that. Fury's good at that. They're going to keep doing it. They don't care like Chris Gregory, like Marlene does. Those people care. They want to see Ray Hayes. They want to see everyone that they put on make it to the next level. I feel like that's the biggest thing, you know, the relationship, the way they take care of you around here versus I fly across the country and fight. God knows.
Yeah.
I was always curious if it's like baseball. So like baseball's my background and all that stuff. So I was always curious, like, are these different promotions, like, are there different levels, like A, AA, and AAA, like there is in baseball? And
there kind of is. Like Chris, he puts on. You'd almost watch his cards and be like, I don't know who's going to win.
Is who?
Chris Gregory
With
Synergy.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. Got it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
he works with Zach Cummings.
Okay.
Out there. But, you look at his cards and it's like puts on super competitive fights almost every time. You look at some of the other cards around here, like Shamrock. Some of those fights I watch, I'm like,
Dude,
that dude's gonna win.
100%.
I know that. You know, I know which side's gonna win, which side's gonna lose. And I've been on, you know, on those cards like that. You know, like I said, when I fought Trey Martin, that was one of the ones that was like, if fucking Trey wins, it's something crazy happened.
Right. Yeah.
But LFA, they don't do that. Like you watch LFA, everyone's getting you're gonna have to fight whoever they give you.
Mhm.
You know, it's a UFC stepping stone for a reason. They put the most people into the UFC because they put on best versus the best, and that's the only way to get there, you know, versus I can fight in Springfield and Chris will look out for me.
Yeah.
Chris is one of the better ones to not do that once you get to a certain level, you know. He'll still try to give you options, but
is the goal trying for now to as a stepping stone to the UFC to get to LFA? Or are you trying to go straight?
I've had LFA, Cage Warriors, ONE FC. I've had everyone hit me up and offer me fights and stuff. And like I said, I leave it to Colton. You know, if they were hitting me up and asking me, I would have been fighting everywhere. So Colton definitely, he shifts through all that and works with the money and who I'm fighting, that stuff. But I think it's necessary almost to an extent to fight on those shows. Like those are the ones that the UFC is watching, you know. Like Juice just got signed from Synergy, Julius Walker. So I mean,
I saw that. Yeah.
obviously they've watched a little bit of, you know, Synergy. You know, you got Dakota fighting a Nemesis. I know the UFC is watching Dakota. You know, there's no way no one's watching them. Shamrock, you got, you know, Dustin Lampros, who was on The Ultimate Fighter.
Ultimate Fighter. Yeah.
You know, somebody's watching that show. Yeah, somebody's got to be watching it. So they're watching them, but not like LFA. You know, LFA, I'm sure that's on. And
yeah, I would say LFA is like definitely like the AAA of MMA for if you're gonna use that comparison.
Yeah, well, not like in a lot of these are all regional based stuff. I mean, like, are there other? I mean, I'm still new to all of this. Are there other regional regions that have like this many levels of MMA fighting promotions? Or is St. Louis or is the Missouri region and all that pretty? Yeah, Midwest as a whole.
I think like LFA and like Fury, they go
all
the country. Yeah. So, and then the ones like Synergy and Shamrock, those are like, I wouldn't even like, some of them are almost, they're not even really regional. They're more local just because they don't go out of this area. You know, the guys that go to California and stuff, those are what you would consider regional. So those are like your local shows, and every state
has stuff.
I'm sure there's states that don't
Yeah.
do that. You know, there's probably states that don't have MMA, but within the surrounding area, there's local shows you can go to. You know, you got shows in Arkansas. Iowa shows have hit me up. So, I mean, you got your local shows, but if you want to go and you want to fight in the thousands and on Fight Pass, you got to hit up a regional show.
Gotcha.
Makes sense. Well, you know, Ray, like if 10 years looking back from now, what would you have to say, like for you to be like, man, you know, I did it right? What would have to happen?
Just getting myself to that financial spot where I'm able to, like, if I got to do this whole thing and I still got to work a job all the way up until I make it somewhere in the UFC, then I fucked my life up outside of, fighting. I want to be able to steer my financial self correctly to where I can exit out of fighting. Like if I wasn't a fighter, I would want to be able to financially get myself out of work, like real estate with whatever. If I wasn't even fighting, I don't want to work till I'm retired. I don't want to do the retirement. I want to get out of the 9 to 5. So, figuring out my financial side and becoming where I don't got to work. And then just getting to where I'm fighting at the highest level I can be, whether that be not in the UFC. Maybe I can't make it. Maybe I get shut down and I get beat up. Maybe I'm just a, beginner entry, not even ranked, or maybe I get ranked and I can fight, ranked UFC competition, whatever that is, wherever the capstone is for me. If I can make it there, it's, to me, knowing that I made it there, versus the what if. There ain't going to be a what if. It's going to be, I did that. Yeah.
Fuck
Whether
yeah.
it be, I missed, I suck, or I did that and I made it, whatever way it is.
Awesome, man.
Well, and what's a belief or mindset you've adopted recently that completely changed how you approach life and training?
I don't think I've adopted it recently, but we've, like I said, we've been a finisher this whole time. Like I've never trained to just beat you on points or play the system. So, and I think I've applied it to life too. Like I'm not at my job to show up and leave the day. I'm there to get the work done, to do what needs to be done and perform. I show up to the cage. I'm not there to make it from bell 1 to bell 3. I'm there to die or kill you. So I think the whole you're here for a good time, not a long time.
Right.
So trying to make my worth out of everything, relationships, whatever. I'm not here to just be your friend. We'll be best friends. We're gonna figure stuff out. So I think it's kind of translated a lot. Digging more into the relationships I have with people, fighting again, training. When I show up and train, I'm not just trying to make it to the end of the round or trying to make it through the set. No, I'm pushing. I'm trying to have that set. Like you can, when you have a coach in your ear yelling at you to one more set, do this faster, harder, blah blah blah. Then you can do it. But the guys that can do that on their own and they can push themselves with no coach yelling at them, that's a different kind of. Not a lot of people have that. So instilling that in myself, when no one's around, I'm at home doing my own workout or something, having the push to push yourself, get a little harder. You go for a run and you're coasting and you're not breathing heavy. Knock out 3 or 4 sprints, make it hard. A lot of guys can, especially in training, you see it a lot. Guys can coast, you get to a certain high level, you go with guys that aren't on your level, you can coast. I try to break myself from that. If I'm sparring with a guy that's a lower level, I'll do something I'm bad at, do something he's real good at. I'm going to beat you with this because I suck at it, so make myself super uncomfortable and just try to get the most out of every situation, every minute of life.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
you see that a lot in jiu-jitsu with people that'll, guys that'll, avoid the hard rounds. They're like, I'd rather go roll with the white belt because I can play with I can do what I want. But it's like, okay, if you are going to roll with that white belt, like work on something you suck at, like, okay, I'm working on this new guard or whatever. I'm trying to hit this submission or whatever it is. I'm like trying to work this sweep from this guard or whatever it is. And, you can even take, lower level competition and work on getting better. It just doesn't always have to be, going with the hard guys. But I mean, I think that is part of, getting better is putting yourself in the deep waters and seeing if you can swim.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like last night was my hard sparring day in Springfield, and I did a round with Marshall Kemp. He's like 7-1 pro. See, whatever. He's one of those dudes that beat the fuck out of me whenever he wants. But we was in the midst of a round, and I'm like slacking off, trying to coast, trying to do my skate by, like I'm taking up space, doing a lot of movement, kind of picking, poking, and he just wouldn't let me have it. Eating up the space, walking me down.
It's in your grill.
Yeah, right in my face, and that's a mindset switch you got to have. Either I'm gonna coast and I'm gonna run and I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna survive this round and wait till this timer goes off and go find somebody a little bit easier next time, or I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna bite down, and me and Marshall are gonna get to work right here, and I'm gonna give him what he needs. He needs a round. So being able to do that every round, because there's some rounds where I really don't want to. I really just want to skate. I really want to,
Sure.
I catch myself doing it. I'll catch myself skating, or right after I'll catch myself walk across and get an easier round. It's like, no, you can't be doing that. If I want to make it to where I make it, hard round after hard round, fight down and fight through every moment.
Dude,
Sure.
I mean, that's human nature. We're always
Yeah.
going to kind of seek the easiest path, but it's
Yeah.
like the fact that you're catching yourself and be like, hey, no, motherfucker, I'm not coasting.
Yeah.
No, fucking pick it up. Let's
Yeah.
go.
No.
Billy's one of the best in that room at doing that. He sees you with your hands on your hips,
Yeah.
you bending over, you sitting down, he's in your face yelling at you. He's like the team leader. He sees you sitting down over in the corner. Hey, get up.
Get up.
You ain't tired. you got to round with me next because you're tired.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, you don't even get to put your hands on your hips in that room.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. What's strength do you do any sort of strength and conditioning or anything like that?
I've actually ignored that part for the longest time. I did one camp. I did do a whole like strength and conditioning regimen, and then I bounced out and quit doing it. Colton's put us through a little bit, but as far as like a set day, set time, set workout, I don't do it. And I think, I really think I should. Obviously, you know, everyone's doing it in the UFC.
Yeah.
You got to be able to do it to keep up. But a big fear was like the size for 45. I'm super lean as it is.
Yeah.
I don't have a shit ton of muscle. And if I pack on any more, I feel like 45 is going to be a thing of the past. And 55 to me is the hardest weight class there
Dude,
is.
It is. I
So
mean,
that's
you look at the
a
UFC,
real hard path to go.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, those guys are big. I mean,
Yeah.
I know a lot of the guys that I know that'll fight at 55. I mean, they're walking around 190, you know, and they're
Yeah.
big boys.
If there was a 65 weight class and like the bigger ones went away,
Yeah.
then yeah, I'd fight at 55. Or like I told Colton, I was like, we can fight at 55 if it's the right dude. But I fought a few guys like the James Buchanan and the Jordan Kaufman where I get in there and I'm like, it's like 200 pounds. Like,
yeah.
I'm s-
Yeah. After he rehydrates.
yeah, like I ain't got no business fighting you.
Yeah.
I don't. So yeah, the smaller 55ers, yeah,
Yeah. There's no guarantee
yeah,
that they're all going to be small.
Yeah, we gotta scope them out. Let's step on the scale right now. What do you weigh?
Yeah,
you
for
above
sure.
you above 85? Then no. No, thank you.
No, thank you.
The name Sweet Baby. And obviously you got the barbecue sauce.
Dude, it's great.
How did you come up? How'd you come up with the name Sweet Baby Ray's Hayes?
I think it was like right before my second fight. I was training with a jiu-jitsu guy. Like we brought a jiu-jitsu guy in because I was facing a grappler, and I like hit some trip or throw on him. Got into like side control, hit him a few times, and the round came up, and he's laying on his back, and he doesn't do MMA. He's like, man, why'd you have to hit me with all that sauce? And Colton from like across the room snapped his head over, and we locked eyes, and I was like, what? Do you mean that Sweet Baby Ray sauce? I was like, oh shit. From then on, it stuck.
Dude, it's a perfect name.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It's like
Yeah.
fun and
Yeah.
it's like, you know, it's
Yeah.
unique.
It works out perfect too.
For sure, yeah.
You know, like how many like you feel like you hear a lot of the same like, you know, names like the
the
pit
Punisher.
bull, the Punisher, the pit bull,
Yeah.
you know, the viper, you know,
Yeah.
like there's like so many like stupid ones out
Yeah.
there, quite
Corny ones,
frankly.
yeah.
Or you know, but like yours is unique and like fun, you know, which
Yeah.
I think is cool.
And like getting into it, I was like, especially from WWE, I'm like, I don't name, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not the dead man
Yeah.
or the legend killer, dude.
Yeah.
That's not me. But when they say they're given, not by yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta wait on them to be given. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell when someone's giving themselves a nickname.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you made that one up on your
Yeah,
own.
you wanted that one, didn't you?
Yeah. I'd have picked that too if I had a choice.
Well, having a little fun with Sweet Baby Ray's. Do you have a favorite barbecue sauce from Sweet Baby Ray's?
I'd be staying away from the sauces right now. Man.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've ate good, but I don't really have a favorite from them. Hopefully one day I get me a commercial deal or something.
Yeah, there you
There
go.
you go.
Hey, that'd be
That'd be
sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sponsorship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got
What,
it tattooed on the leg. So
yeah. Oh, you
yeah.
do?
Yeah.
That's sick.
I'll tell you what, that honey chipotle though is
Yeah. Yeah.
it's good.
Speaking of food, you know, after a fight, is there something that you like? Oh man, I've fucking just dieted for the last 8 weeks. I'm ready to fucking eat. What's the go-to?
I don't have a go-to. I literally eat thing and everything. Like bad person when it comes to I'll tell you something disgusting.
Perfect.
It was after I fought Alex Coover. I broke my nose. I'm all busted up. You know, the week after I take a few days off work, I'm laid up on the couch. This was the Monday after the fight. Turn on a show. I'm watching Netflix. I went and bought a family size thing of ding dongs, nutty bars, 24 pack of Pepsi.
They just crushed all of it.
Ate all the food and drank half the soda in one sitting.
Oh, bro.
Disgusting.
12 sodas.
Diabetes, here I come.
6 o'clock rolled around. I went to training, like a knot in my stomach. And I think I'm gonna just watch and slow roll
Yeah.
today.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
disgusting, dude.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it'll be like after fights, I'll have to like catch myself almost, and I'm like, dude, you're nasty. I don't even like this person, bro.
Dude, I feel like fighting, you know, I mean, I saw it with wrestling growing up because I wrestled in high school. It's just like, dude, you get like an eating disorder.
Yeah.
You know, like you really do. Cause like I always do that. Like even after I like do I don't even really cut weight anymore. But like it's like my mindset, like after a competition is like, oh, I get to eat whatever the fuck I want for like 2 days, you know? It's like, and I just fucking eat. And it's like, I shouldn't do that. I didn't like even cut weight I mean, maybe I cut a couple pounds for something, but it's nothing like what you're doing.
No, it's just a typical Saturday for me. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
The girl I'm with, I started talking to her right before I fought David.
Yeah.
And I took her out once and I was like, I really can't be going out to eat. This is probably going to be a one hitter until after my fight. And I was like, I kind of got an eating disorder, so I'm going to be good on this one. I got like a salad or something light, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is weird going out to eating a
Yeah,
salad.
just getting a salad.
Yeah. And she's like, what do you mean eating disorder? I took her out to eat after I fought David. 32-ounce porterhouse, appetizer, all the sides,
Different Ray.
dessert. I was like, you said you're not judging, so you just close your eyes.
You got training Ray, and then you got the not training Ray. Yeah.
I realized there was a problem because I went over to her house and I had this thing of sugar cookies, like the ones you get from Walmart.
Yeah,
So they're
with the big thick icing on the top.
What, there's like 4 and 4 or
Yeah.
something. And I sat down and I'm eating them. I eat like 4 of them, half the thing's gone. And she looks over and she goes, are you going to eat like all those? And I seen like the disgust. And I close it. I go, no.
Yeah, no way.
No,
Yeah.
what? That's all I wanted.
Yeah, I just wanted half of that thing.
Didn't even
I'm gonna
realize that.
save the other half for tomorrow.
I grabbed that from Walmart and a half gallon of chocolate milk. And I was like, I'm going to go to her house and eat all this.
Yeah.
She stopped me midway. I was like, nope, I ain't doing that. I'm not going to do that.
Oh man,
it's
that's great. Well, Ray, this has been awesome having you in here, man. It's been a lot of fun. Is there anything you want to promote? Obviously, you got the fight coming up before we get you out of here.
No, just the fight, May 2nd, Kansas City, Cable Dama Arena.
Sweet.
Very cool.
That's
Now
it.
they do a pay-per-view for that?
Yeah, Expectation Sports does a pay-per-view. And when I fought David, they did their own sports book.
Mm.
I didn't notice it till after the fight, but I had odds and like you could have
cool.
clicked and betted on me. I'm like,
Oh,
don't let me catch it this time. I'm gonna put the house on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, before I make it to the UFC, if I can bet on myself, absolutely.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, because you can't once you get in the UFC. That's
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
yeah.
That's a bummer, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll suck. Yeah, and I can't bet on UFC anymore.
Yeah. Fuck.
I'm gonna have to go
Sucks.
to rehab when I get signed.
Especially now that it's legal in Missouri.
Yeah. What the
Dana,
fuck?
you're gonna have to pay for my rehab when you sign me.
Having withdrawals like
Yeah,
oh,
change the rules
Yeah.
back or something, dude. I can't
Yeah.
be betting on basketball.
Yeah. Shit I know nothing about.
Yeah. I don't even know these guys.
I want the red team.
I use a app called Bovada,
Yeah.
and it's got a live table tennis that you can bet on. This is when I knew I had a little bit of a problem. The odds on table tennis after one score, like the live odds, like I said with slap fighting, they switch like so big.
Really?
So
Man.
big.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll be late up like 2:00 in the morning.
Watching-
$2 on a plus 1,700 table tennis. Stupid.
That's
Oh, man,
hilarious.
that's awesome.
Scratching the itch.
Yeah. Gotta get that little rush.
Well, we like to end our show with one last question that's not on the questionnaire. Play a little game called the Tombstone Game. Okay, here lies Ray. What's it say on your tombstone?
Stay on my tombstone.
Mm-hmm.
Date I was born, date I died. I say some. I don't know. Thought about that. That's gonna be one to think about for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, what kind of? It's like all about that legacy. What kind of legacy you
what
want to
legacy
when you
do I wanna
leave?
leave? Let's go with maybe I wasn't good. I did it.
That's
There we
perfect,
go.
man.
Perfect, man.
Love it.
That's awesome.
Well, thanks again for coming in, man. We had a blast. It's a great episode. So, thanks to
Sure.
everybody at home who watched and listened. Please click that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. That would help us out a ton. Also, click that like button if you can. Comment what you thought below, and we will see you next time.